Hello, my name is Peter Scheren. I'm the former project manager of the project addressing land-based activities in the Western Indian Ocean, in short referred to as WIOLAP. The WIOLAP project was a UNEP GEF project which ran from 2005 until 2010, and an important element of that project was the implementation of demonstration projects. The focus of these projects was on, as the term says, land-based sources and activities, which means issues related to pollution from sewage, land runoff, other sources, as well as the destruction of coastal habitats such as mangroves, seagrass beds, coral reefs. So I want to start before talking about demonstration projects and primarily discussing how do you select these projects. To say that there are perhaps two main reasons why you want to do demonstration projects in a project like WIOLAP. The first being you want to find solutions and demonstrate solutions, approaches to addressing certain challenges. As I said, an innovative method, for example, of treating wastewater through a wetland system, or ways of addressing habitat destruction in terms of community-based approaches and so on. That's one element. The second element of these projects is you want to get political buy-in, and these projects give you very practically a lot of visibility on the ground. You can involve your policymakers and communities around these projects and basically gear them up to address the challenges. Now that also brings a challenge with it, because those two elements are somehow also conflicting. So of course technically you want to make sure that your project is very sound, it addresses issues that are important for the region, but politically you also want to make sure that there is enough buy-in, so there is a risk in the process of getting political interference. So the way we address this potential conflict between political interests and the technical side is by splitting the two issues very clearly and saying there's a role for the project steering committee, which is generally the politicians, to help define the criteria on which to base the selection of the projects. Also to involve them obviously in the final endorsement, making sure there is this political buy-in, but clearly split it from the technical elements where there's a need for proper selection of projects based on their merit for your purpose, and of course the technical and the financial feasibility. In terms of criteria, there are various aspects. Starting first of all, you want the project to address a problem that is really relevant to your course, basically relevant in the context of your overall project objectives. At the problem level also, it needs to be a problem that is relevant to the national and the local context. Otherwise, you risk not getting enough buy-in to your project. And the third element related to the problem itself is perhaps that it needs to be an issue that is common, that is not very specific to one situation. Obviously, it being a demonstration project, you want to upscale later on. Then you get to the second type of criteria. They have to do with the solutions, and you'd want to demonstrate solutions that are not already well defined, well known, that are innovative. They have to be replicable, so appropriate for other situations. They have to be technically feasible, which is an issue that needs to be seriously considered as well. And of course, in the end, also financially feasible. Now, that financial sustainability is often perhaps the most difficult subject on any demonstration projects, because they have to do with issues related to how do you generate the revenues required in the end to maintain your operations. For example, if you construct a wastewater treatment facility, how do you make sure that this treatment facility is remained operational after the project closure? And the third element of the selection process is then also the more political context, is the buy-in, and most importantly that's demonstrated by the amount of co-funding that is provided by the proponents of the projects or by the governments. This requires a very systematic approach, and in short say we can distinguish about 5 steps in the process. The first one being with the definition of proper criteria for selection of the project, as I already mentioned. The second step, getting the endorsement of your steering group to those criteria. The third step is then to start pre-qualifying, identifying projects that potentially would be relevant and important through a pre-selection process, and this could be through a call for proposals or concepts and ideas. Following the receipt of those pre-qualifications, there is then the need for a selection of these projects. The projects will then undergo a detailed proposal development process. And in the very final stage then only you will include the policymakers, your steering committee or otherwise, to make the final selection and endorsement, provide the endorsements of the projects that you will be sponsoring. So based on that set of criteria, and without elaborating now, you can get in more or less detail on these criteria. You'd come up with your final selection of projects. So for now, that's my very brief intervention on the issue of demonstration projects, and particularly on the issue related to the selection of those projects. Thank you very much.
Yes, I need a